So first let's talk a bit about autism history in Indonesia. So yeah, so this is autism first called public awareness in 1990s. In the late 1990s, like around 1996, 1997. So this is basic. So autism in Indonesia is quite a recent development. It's not. It's still quite new for most of Indonesian people comparatively to other countries. So in terms of proliferation information proliferation, Indonesia we are not like autism is not autism information resources are not widely spread, and in national scale we don't there are still some informations that are missing, like the prevalence number, um, the statistics. Those are we do not really have that official information yet. So yeah, so looking at how and when and how autism is proliferated, we can see how why autism discourses are still one dimensional. It's not very complex. Like mostly the narratives discuss about autism as disorder, either in social media or even in government scale, like the statements from Kemenkes when discussing about autism in World Autism Awareness Days. They usually use the word like that pathologize autistic people, like suffering from autism or like autism as like a psychological disorder. So now that we talk a bit about autism history in Indonesia, we can see like how autism is being positioned in Indonesia. Because autism itself is basically being pathologized as being we can see that so basically autism is a disorder, and those with autism, the autistic people are considered as someone who is incapable of grasping the idea of self, and therefore because they do not they are considered unable to grasp the idea of self, their subjectivity is dim limited, and hence they cannot really express themselves. So basically they're mostly seen as an object, and then these kind of issues lead to a cultural blind spot, because we do not really get a full multidimensional image of autism. This is where autobiography comes in, because autobiography can help us to bridge this problem. Autobiographies can help us to understand the relationship, understand better autistic people, because now autistic people can offer their subjectivity, which is and also non-autistic people can learn from the subjectivity. So this is autism autobiography Indonesia. So if we see out, because we see that autism history is still recent development, the genre itself is still new. It's not very we are not, mostly the books are usually published in independent publishers, and like they are not books that you can easily find in major bookstores. So these are the books that are currently still being sold out this. um so the first one is Refleksi Seorang Individu Autistik by CJJM. Then also there is My Life, My Dream by Fairuz Nurul Izzah. These two books are the one that I'm going to that I'm examining that I analyze. So now let's talk about the analysis. So first, what I want to see is the practices in the publishing itself, because this is a published book. So yeah, so the publisher are independent. So yeah, because this is not because like these books are not like in the major publisher. It's from Entrepreneur Club, and this kind of publication actually looks for like more stories. Like basically their mission is to allow everyone to tell their stories. So like there is less barrier for writers, including autistic writers, to publish their works, and this allows for more like diverse stories, well, stories that are usually not really being seen in mainstream. And not only they like the barrier is less, they even offer, in terms of the writerpreneur club, they actually offer mentoring. So like the founder, which is also the editor of this book, Deka Amalia, actually she also helps to mentor the writer. So like so they are being guided to write, to express their stories, which this allows them to tell their stories, regardless of like their level of writing skills, their level of mastery. But hence it's but also in a way this creates like imbalanced power relationship, because the writing are, because there are this relationship between mentor and mentee. So the second one is, when we talk about publishing, when we talk about books, we also publishing books, we also talk about marketing. So now that they publish these books, they publish the autism autobiography books, we have to see like the marketing basically focuses on like, this is a success story. This is a story of people, of real autistic people who manage to struggle and manage to succeed in their struggle. And like basically, and also in the marketing, we see that there are also endorsement to like to boost the sale, to to validate, to boost the sale, to show like to validate, to give validation like to the book. And we see that in terms of endorsement, we see that the book actually are being endorsed by medical experts and mothers with autistic children. Um, and those figures are being considered as the authoritative figure in, yeah, in most autism advocacy across the globe. So basically, in order to sell, in order to promote those books, they use these authoritative figures. And lastly, whom do we sell the books to? So those are sold to non-autistic readers. So yeah, so basically the gaze is the it's mainly focuses on like showing autistic struggle to other people, to non-autistic people. So lastly, now we talk about the publishing, the marketing. Now we talk about the content in itself. So the content in itself, we see that the focus is mainly is on the struggle, and the struggle is in the form of ongoing practices of normalcy. So in both of those books, we see lots of um, accumulating lots of contents in which they express how they are limited and how they try to overcome their limitations. So basically their limitations. So they're trying to be normal, like passing as normal. So we see there's this ongoing embodied practice of normalcy. And normalcy is like the goal, and they're trying to work on their goal. And of of and they're being portrayed as succeeding in those goals, like they manage to, for example, write a book or succeed in living independently. So the narrative convention highlights this disordered body as someone who managed to overcome this, which is something that we can see in lots of disability autobiography. And lastly, we see that, yeah, so how do they manage to do so? There are lots of explanation on the therapy, on medical treatment. So they see this highlights the role of medicine in improving their body. So like we see them again in this all the like biomedical perspective. So yeah, so that's this content. Now let's see a bit about like how they construct autism, how they see autism. So these are the two excerpts. Yeah, you can read it yourself. And like there's lots of like autism as a struggle, autism as a weakness, but also it is as a part of themselves. So there is two these two contrasting idea. In first they have to accept it, but they also see it as a weakness. So that concludes my presentation. So first of all, practices and conventions are deeply related to the larger social and cultural context of autism in society. Second, autism is mainly portrayed as the struggle and the success. is defined by practicing normalcy with the help of like medical treatment. And lastly, autistic people are seen as subjects that are working on their autismness in order to achieve their aspiration, like and their dreams and like their true self. So that's the end of my presentation. These are the books and the and the bibliography that I use in analyzing. Thank you very much for your attention, and and I welcome discussion and question.